Welcome back to Race Control and the Volvo Ocean Race headquarters. As the Volvo teams charge northeast towards Sanya and the finish line of leg 3, today we have two very special guests on Skype with us. Previous race winners Klabbe Nylöf in '98 and Mike Sanderson in 2005-06. So Moose, let's start with you. You've led a Chinese team before. What do you think now of this Chinese team of Dongfeng Race Team's performance?
I think they're obviously having a wonderful race. I mean, I think the guys are, they're a very good group of sailors who, are being led by a core of French sailors who have come up through the Figaro ranks. And, the Volvo Ocean Race has almost turned into a large Figaro style race with one design boats, same equipment, and very close combat, if you like. So the guys are very good at that. You see they're tactically sailing very well, and it looks like they've got at times they've got a small speed edge, which is always the case in one design racing as well. One laser goes faster than another laser when you go to the Worlds. It's just a technique thing. So I think the guys are doing a wonderful job, and wouldn't it be amazing if they can hang on all the way to Sanya and lead into their home port?
Well, and that brings us to you, Klabbe. Would you have expected this, especially as they are carrying at least two newcomers each leg with the Chinese sailors on board? And do you think they can hold this all the way to Sanya?
No, I really think they look like a bit of an outsider, so to say. But with the experience from Charles and Pascal, and I mean the team is obviously huge. But at the same time, you would think that one or two of the more established skippers should have an edge. But I think they're doing as Mike said, a fantastic job. And this is really one design racing. So. Coming from Figaro and all the experience, crossing the Atlantic, I don't know how many times they have done it in this type of sailing. I think it suits them really, really well, and they're doing a fantastic job.
Mike, what do you think it will mean to China if they are able to hold on to the lead all the way to Sanya?
Unfortunately, I don't think it'll mean as much to China as what it should mean to China. And, I think, and I mean that in the nicest possible way. I mean, for that team to lead into China is huge. Yes, there'll be hundreds and thousands of people there, but unfortunately the politicians and the decision makers that are required to help kick off sports and things into, to happen in China, kind of probably expect them to win into China. And so, as harsh as that seems, the rest of the world will probably, give them higher praise than maybe what they'll get in China, which is a bit sad. Because it really would be a phenomenal result if they can lead in there, and it would be a fairy tale story for the sponsors and everything. And yes, they'll get millions of people coming down. But unfortunately, the guys who are making the decision to fund these campaigns probably always thought that they would lead into China.
All right, so on that, actually, the millions of people, Moose, let's go with you, Klabbe, and a question from the audience. We asked them for some questions for you guys yesterday. Rob Swinson wrote in asking, what are the main tactical differences between ocean racing and small course racing? And I'm just going to add on to that. What do you think now of this one design? I mean, we saw them within breathing room of each other in Malacca and exiting the Singapore Straits. Do you think it's even ocean racing anymore, or is this a bit more like small course racing?
I mean, winning, it doesn't mean that you have to win. You doesn't have to be more than 1 meter ahead of your competitor. So, I mean, obviously, you're more equal the boats are. It's smarter to stay with a bunch than instead of just leaving everybody if you not are extremely far away from the fleet, and then you can take a chance. So I think, the one design racing really closes everything up quite a lot as it is, and I think as it looks now, weather-wise as well, it's not much options to gain. So the fleet's going to be pretty close to each other the whole way up to the finish line as it looks now.
So then the second question, Mike, from the audience is about the AAS. We have from Michael Hundrup. He says, being able to follow competitors closely now on AAS is new to this Volvo Ocean Race. Stressful online tactics. Do you see this as good or bad?
Well, it's just different. It's the race. Each version has got different, and it does certainly make it much more like a day race where you can see your competition, and so yeah, it's just different. It's certainly very different, to the Whitbread days where. You often didn't know where your competitors were as you were coming into the finish line. There's a famous story with Grant Dalton, who thought he'd led into Fremantle after a 25-day Southern Ocean leg, and then found out he was fourth or something, third or fourth. So it's just very different. You get to sail it. Like it's a day race, and you can see all your competition if AIS is all working. To be fair, they probably can't see the people on AIS as much as we all think they can. AIS is, the aerials that we use are small, and I haven't spoken to them like this, but certainly on the legs that we had to have our AIS on in the last race, it was, it certainly wasn't 100%.
Okay, fair enough. So Klabbe, now it is one design, which basically means in the stopovers, they used to be able to make all kinds of changes to their rudder, to the keels even. Now they can't. So what can teams do in the stopovers to, say, improve before the next race if they'd like to, before the next leg?
I mean, it's always some stuff you can do with your boat to make them quicker, even if it's a one design. So obviously every team are looking into every little speciality they could find into the one design rule, or it doesn't interrupt with the one design rule. So everybody work with that. But I think, in general, when it comes to the one design sailing, it's always, you really need to know the gear, and you really need to use them better than your opponent. And it seemed like Dongfeng have a bit of a speed edge, and they have find something in the way of sailing their boats or the boat, and they managed to do this really well. And I think you always experience that with the one design classes, that it's always someone who go a little bit faster, even if the boats are extremely similar in all kind of ways. And preparing, it's a matter of getting everything as cocked up as possible, for sure, and then as well make sure that you don't have any breakage. As a little you less breakage, you more you can focus on the actual sailing. And so I think a lot of emphasis and focus is on that.
But that brings us, Moose, this will be to you. That brings us to the question, is there now a dominant team? We have seen more breakages on Dongfeng, and yet they were able to finish second in the first two legs. And then three teams sat tied at the leaderboard. But now Dongfeng has pulled out. They've at least been dominant in this leg. Do you think they're emerging, maybe like you were in ABN AMRO, as a dominant team?
It's probably too early to tell that. There's some very strong teams in the race. These guys are for sure sailing well. But Ian Walker and Abu Dhabi have probably been, the guys who are been the most in the lead until recently. So no, I think it's early days. In the last race, obviously we saw Telefonica win the first three legs, and then Group Ahmad go on to win the race. So no, I think it's early days for anyone to really be named as a dominant force in the race. So no, time will tell yet.
Okay, so let's go now. We've gotten a bit of news this morning from Team Vestaswen. They've essentially announced that they will return to the race, but without their navigator, Wouter. Do you think, Klabbe, that this is the right decision? It must have been a very tough decision for Chris Nicholson to make.
Yeah, for sure. But I think, the whole experience for the whole team is traumatic and dramatic. And I think it's hard as a responsible navigator on a boat to what should I say, handle it in a completely with no emotions and just continue racing. So I think it could be smart to replace the navigator, but at the same time, that's always a matter of feel in the team. So decision is really up to the skipper and the guys who have the management. And but it's must be an extremely traumatic experience and hard to get the right focus and get things in order. I think it's a proper decision.
We've seen this now actually twice in this Volvo Ocean Race so far. Mott Frey replaced their navigator, and now Vestas win. Mike, have you had to make a decision like that in your race as a skipper?
No, I haven't. And but this was quite extreme circumstances, obviously. Navigators have been replaced before for not performing, tactically, and for their understanding of the weather, and for maybe their chemistry within the team. But this was obviously a pretty different scenario. To be fair to Chris, I think I think it's the right thing to do for the good of the team going on. Whether unfortunately Walter was doing a great job or not. Just because he's sort of got to show the sponsor a change, a new face. I think they've got to sort of look to have debriefed the situation properly. At the end of the day, we all have to be accountable for things that go on, and so I think Chris has done what he's had and needed to do, and they will come back sort of like a new team. And with a second chance, and that's wonderful for the sport. That Vestas have committed, and the other sponsors have committed to getting the boat back in the race.
Okay, so speaking of tough calls, Klabbe, Team SCA is a Swedish team, and you knew Magnus, one of their original coaches, very well. Do you think that they'll need to make any tough calls going forward, or is this more about women gaining experience in sailing and ocean racing?
Now, the EF team was all female and male team, two boats, and I sailed a lot with the girls, during the whole practice period before the start, and I think all the skills extremely are there with the girls, but I think a little bit what's lacking, it's an experience of it in the complete team, so to say. When you pick a team from the best males, you always could find a little bit more experience of everything. And I think that could be a reason for what you see. But at the same time, I think the girls will improve and improve and improve. But the problem is everybody else improving as well. So it is really hard to put the finger on exactly what it is. But I think we will see good results from the girls. And it's so small differences to make these distances. So it's just they just got to get it on the right side. I think a little bit now it's a bit of a psychological thing as well. I mean, even a good male team could end up where SCA is right now. So it's not male or women. It's not all about that anyway, I think. So I really hope they get a little bit of a break, and that will boost them and get them into the game a little bit more again.
Moose, your thoughts on that, especially personally, but also through your wife Emma and her offshore racing?
Yeah, absolutely. My wife Emma's raced with Klabbe, so they're up on multi-hulls in Sweden and things. So that there's obviously, as Klabbe's hit the nail on the head, there's some fantastic female ocean sailors. Many of them are on SCA. I mean, Sam Davies is a formidable opponent in an open 60 monohull, and they're having some great races. They've been on the podium. in port races and things, and so they're definitely very capable of sailing the boats. They're going to have some good races and then some good legs and things. It's all good. The experience is only going to grow. They're all very tough teams, and unfortunately the girls have got a little bit behind this time. But the next leg's a different leg, and this one certainly isn't over yet either. They've got some pretty tricky stuff coming up, to come, and who knows what could happen.
Okay, so we might sign off now. I'm going to ask you guys one final question. Are you happy to be ashore with a bed and a shower, or would you rather be out there? We'll go with you first, Moose.
I've got 3 little kids now, and family life is great, and I'm enjoying that. I'm here in Key West, racing by day on the wonderful Bellamente, and so no, life's pretty good. I remember this particular part of the leg that they're about to deal with, and no, I would rather be where I am right now. But the Volvo Ocean Race obviously still very dear to my heart, and who knows, one day could he, who knows.
Okay, and Klabbe, you.
Yeah, I mean, with the experience of sailing around the world a bunch of times, so to say, you always dream and thinking of being there. But as Mo said, it's a time in your life you do different things. And last time I was in the China Sea, we almost sank with Ericsson. So my experience from the China Sea is not too good. But for sure, at times I would really love to be there, but realistically, timing doesn't work. I have 3 kids as well, and Volvo have become or is a race. I've been always since I started. At least it's a race that you can only think of yourself and focus on your team and be there. Everything that happens on shore is pretty irrelevant. So. And that's tough if you have kids hanging around. So I think I'm in a good position right now in this nice chair and talking to you.
Well, fair enough. We do hope to see you guys both out there again, but we definitely hope to get you back on the show. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
And to the audience out there, we do know there's one sailor who's itching to get back out there. Sophie Sizik is the bow woman of Team SCA. She's been out for a back injury and has had surgery this leg, but we will be speaking with her tomorrow. So please do let us know on social media if you have any questions for her. She'd love to hear from you all, and we'll also be surprise calling the boat. So we'll see you then, and thank you guys. Cheers.